All right, before we get into things, we need to talk about Camera Raw and why we use Camera Raw and how we open images in Camera Raw. So if you shot in the RAW format, no problem. You double click on the photo, just pick a photo, double click on it, and it opens up in Camera Raw. No big surprise there. But you can also edit your JPEG and your TIFF images in Camera Raw, and I think that's incredibly important. The reason why that I always choose to do my TIFF and JPEG images in Camera Raw is simply it's easier. It's easier, it's faster, it's more fun. If you have to go over to Photoshop and use curves and all this different stuff, it gets complicated. And here it's just so fast and so easy. So I prefer to do all my editing, no matter what kind of file type is, JPEG, TIFF, or RAW here. So you don't have to worry about shooting in RAW. Now, take a look here in MiniBridge. Now, MiniBridge is new in Photoshop CS5. It is a version of the bridge that lives inside of Photoshop. So I've pretty much stopped using Big Bridge as much as I can because I have access to almost all the same features of Big Bridge in MiniBridge. So for example, let's say I want to open up an image. We already saw what happens when you double click on a RAW image. It opens in Camera Raw. But what if you're working with JPEG images? So let me just pull out MiniBridge here. Just click right there and pull out. So here's MiniBridge. You can control the size of the thumbnails right in here. All right. So let's say that I want to open up one of these images and it's a JPEG. So what do? Well, all you do is you click on the image. Then if you right click, there's a little pop-up menu that comes up and you can just choose Open in Camera Raw and it will open up the JPEG image in Camera Raw. And if you look at the top here, you can see it actually says JPEG, so you know that it is a JPEG image. So that's it. Now, there are going to be some differences that you're going to find between editing JPEGs and editing RAWs. They're very, very minor. It's only two things, and I don't want to tell you them yet because they'll be out of context, but I'm going to do a very, very short little clip a little later that will explain the differences, because most of the time you would never know whether you're working on a JPEG image, a RAW image, or a TIFF image. In fact, there's only two things that would tip you off that you weren't working on one of those. We'll talk about those a little later. So it's perfectly fine to go ahead and open up your JPEGs and your TIFFs here. All right, so that's one way to do it right here from MiniBridge. If you want to open up from a regular bridge, it's a little different. Let's go to Big Bridge. There's Big Bridge, the familiar bridge we've known for so long. All right, if you want to open up an image, JPEG image here, what you'll do is instead of doing the right-click thing, if you just press Command-R on Mac or Control-R on PC for RAW, then it opens up that image right there. Hey, I do want to tell you one more thing about MiniBridge that's kind of nice. Let me just bounce back to Photoshop here. There's another nice little thing about MiniBridge. So I keep MiniBridge pretty small, kind of like tucked over here like this, right? So the thumbnails stay pretty small, and of course you can change the size here as well of the thumbnails. Now, if you want to see something bigger, something at a larger size, you just click on it and then press the space bar, and it jumps to a full screen view, even though you're in MiniBridge. So it's small and compact and handy. It's really very, very powerful. It has most of the features of Big Bridge. So, you know, if you focus on learning MiniBridge, it'll make your life a lot easier. And again, it's basically just a way to view your images. It's not a whole management system like Lightroom or anything. It's just a great way to quickly get to your images. All right, so now I have one more question for you. So, all right, so you've seen how to open it up from MiniBridge if you're using the bridge to browse around. But what if you're not using the bridge to browse around? Then what you can do is, if you need to open one of these images, another way to do it, there's another way, and that is, let me go to the, where are we at here? 7 point, there we go. All right, here's another way to do it. Let's just go right down here and open up a JPEG image. Click on it, and of course, it would normally say JPEG. What you're going to do is go in here and choose Camera Raw. All right, so let's see if I can find you another JPEG image. Here's one. Click on it. It wants to open up as a JPEG. You're going to go, no, no, no. Open it in Camera Raw. So that's a way if you're not using Bridge at all, you still want to open it in Camera Raw. That's what you do. Click on the JPEG. It'll say Format JPEG or TIFF. Then you're going to change it to Camera Raw. Click Open, and it opens. All right. So there you have it. There's a couple of different ways to get your RAW images right directly into Photoshop, whether they're RAW or JPEG or TIFFs.